What's up, guys? I'm here with the Tao Tao 2014 50cc. A girl brought it to me. It wouldn't start, wouldn't run. If you did get it to start, as soon as you hit the throttle at all, it would bog out and die. I'm gonna go through the steps I went through and some tips and tricks I have to get this Tao Tao running. First things first, make sure you have good clean gas, full. All right, let's go through this pretty quick. Step one, put the key in here. You're gonna release the seat. So there are 4 10mm nuts, 1, 2, and 2 exactly like that down in this compartment. There's also a Phillips head here and a Phillips head here. You're gonna need to remove all of those. Access to the battery is just right up under this. Just kind of pulls up, couple Phillips under here. You lift this piece off. It's also not a bad idea to remove this piece, this front piece, if you're trying to do a bunch of diagnosis. All that is another 2 Phillips right here, and the whole thing lifts out. There might be... It's not a bad idea too to have your battery disconnected before you do this. I don't have a battery. I don't worry about it. Just lift this straight up and out. Seat comes out. Now you have a clear view. So just about the fuel pressure regulator. This line, which connects down here at this intake boot, runs along here, engine vacuum to here. This moves the diaphragm in here, allowing fuel, which is this back line, the furthest back towards the rear of the bike. Fuel straight from the tank to pass through the diaphragm, running down along this line into the bottom of the carb. This is easily gets pinched when you put that seat. Here's the mounting bolt for the seat. If you pinch this, no engine vacuum reaches this vacuum regulator, the fuel regulator, which allows fuel to enter the carb. But when I apply engine vacuum, we should see fuel come out of this line. Now to get vacuum, I am going to kick the bike over and it should produce vacuum. So watch, this is raw gas coming out. See how there's gas coming out? So that's a good sign. First, you're gonna reach down here and you're gonna take this spark plug boot off. So right here is the spark plug that came stock in the bike. I replaced it with an NGK. I recommend you do the same. Put the spark plug in your boot. So what you're gonna wanna do is look at this. Look right there at that electrode, and you're gonna wanna see spark when you kick it or when you turn it over. If you're not getting any spark, then you're gonna go further down the diagnosis of the ignition system. I don't really want to go into the no spark diagnosis because honestly I don't know too much about that, but there's a ton of videos on YouTube. So once you know you have spark and you have fuel, move on to diagnosing carburetor issues. First step is to grab a bottle of Carb Clean, and we're gonna remove that intake boot from the rear of the carburetor and spray some in there. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, undo that Phillips. Just enough so that you can reach and pull this boot, pull that boot off. You can just leave it dangling. What you're gonna do is have someone kick or push the electric start while you're spraying this Brakleen straight into there. Effectively what you're doing is introducing fuel straight into the intake. So if the carb is dirty or there's a restricted fuel, the scooter should start. And you want to spray the Carb Clean directly in here. If the scooter fires while you're spraying that Carb Clean in there, then you know that there's either the carb is clogged, it's not letting the right amount of fuel in, or there's an intake leak. And the most common intake leak is right here. This I struggled with for a very long time because this will cause the carb to just run so poorly because there's air entering after the carb. So you'll spray the Carb Clean in here and all of a sudden the scooter will run great. You're getting fuel to the carb, but as soon as you stop spraying it and you go to give it any accelerator, it'll bog out. And it's really hard to diagnose, but basically you want to check to make sure that this connection is really tight and really secure. The next thing to do is to make sure is to spray that Carb Clean right around here with this boot reconnected. So reconnect this boot, your intake boot. Make sure that's on there tight. Try starting it while spraying the Carb Clean around here. If suddenly it fires, then once again you know that there's an intake leak here. Very common, hard to diagnose. Took me a long time to realize that I had this on tight. You know, there's no visible cracks, but very common spot for a leak. So yeah guys, in the final analysis, what'll drive you crazy with these scooters is intake leaks, a plugged or messed up fuel regulator, and making sure you have good spark. So really don't get too caught up if you do have spark and you're spraying the brake clean, all of a sudden the scooter fires. You need to check really closely, make sure there are no leaks. Spray the Carb Clean in there a ton. Really check that, and then go from there. The carburetor, if the carburetor is bad, a replacement's $25, and the performance increases are exponential if you tune it correctly. On mine, the original stock carb was sealed. There's videos, I'll link one in the description about how to unseal them. And the one I ordered online came with an adjustable needle, which the stock one did not have, and was completely unsealed with an air mixture screw unsealed as well. So once you dial in the basics, you have spark, you have fuel, check for intake leaks, you should be on your way to figuring it out.